Good to go. Let's see. All right. Good to go. All right. So it looks like we're going to wait a few minutes to give some more people a chance to show up. Hopefully, everybody will be here soon. Let's see. Mass Crusaders working overtime, fighting crime. Secret raiders who will neutralize through the venom rise. Ultra's gonna lead the mission. Spectrum's got such supervision. Mask is a mighty power that will save the day. Mask. No one knows the lies behind the masquerade. Mask. Always riding on Venom's trail. And in a laser ray. On his way. Do do do. On his way. Do 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 do. Alright, let's see. Transformers. Robots in disguise. Autobots rage a battle to destroy the evil forces of the Decepticons. Transformers. Robots in disguise. Transformers. More than meets the eye. Transformers. Robots in disguise. Transformers. More than meets the eye. Transformers. All along the watchtower. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Wow. 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 Let's see now. What else? Get along, gang. Get along, gang. Each one's so special in their own way. Shut up. Get along, gang. Get up with the get along, gang. Everyone is okay. Get up with the get along, gang. Oh, get up. We'll bring you action and satisfaction. We're the chipmunks. Chipmunk. We're the chipmunks. Alvin, Simon, Theodore, do, 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 do. Come along with the snorks. Swim along with the snorks. So much to see waiting for you and me. Have some fun with the snorks. If you can breathe underwater, where would you go? If you had friends underwater, who would you know? Come on, see along. Yeah. Hello. We're just waiting on some more people to show up. I'll probably be getting into it soon enough here. So, if this is the first time you're checking out my show, Monday through Friday, I cover niche news, niche newscasts, niche news items, basically covering, everything anime, cartoons, comics, manga, and and you know, pro wrestling, anime, cartoons, comics, manga, and pro wrestling. Um, so, anyways, we're just, as I said, just waiting a few minutes here to give people a chance to pop in here. And if you're on the YouTube, like and share, that'd be appreciated. If you haven't already, which I should probably do that on. We're waiting on the world to change. Yeah, we're waiting on the world to change. All right. So, anyways, hopefully everybody's doing fine right now. Alrighty then. So let's see now. We're coming up. Okay, so we're about 8 minutes. So we'll probably start getting underway here in a moment. All right. So here's what's on tap for tonight. We got like 6 articles we're gonna probably go through. 2 comics related, 4 anime related. Um, one from Bounding into Comics, the other 5 from CBR. Eric Larson has some things he wants to let everybody know about what he thinks Marvel should do with the Punisher character. So he's putting his 2 cents into that whole mix. Also, Marvel is looking to do a tie-in comic with the Midnight Sun franchise. We'll have some profile pieces on like things like the differences between the manga and the anime and Yu-Gi-Oh, how to get into the Promised Neverland if you haven't watched that or read the manga before. Um, Near Automata is also getting apparently will be getting a TV anime adaptation. I think that's another RPG style game. And then there was one other that I can't think of off the top of my head right now. But anyway, so that's basically what's all on tap for tonight. We're coming up on 10 minutes here, so hopefully hopefully okay, so we're just again waiting for. Well, actually, we are going to get started because we're actually past the 10-minute mark already, giving it enough time for people to come in. So why don't we go ahead and let's get started here with the articles. All right, so let's get going on this. Image Comics Chief Financial Officer Eric Larson wants Marvel to make the Punisher gay, hunt people who wear his logo. Article by John F. Trent, February 23rd, 2022. Yeah. Eric Larson must like giving the finger to fans because what he's first off for making him gay, that goes totally against what the character is. It's like a paradigm shift of a move there. And hunt people who wear his logo. So you basically want to chase off the very fans who are, or you'd want to chase off the very fans who would be paying these artists for this product. Yeah, you're a real bright one there, Mr. Larson. We can tell you went. We can tell you went. We can tell you went to DFUU. DFUU. You're probably Sigma cum laude of the FAH for sorority. Anyways, okay. Let's get through this. Savage Dragon creator and Image Comics chief financial officer Eric Larson recently advocated that Marvel turn Frank Castle, aka the Punisher, into a gay man. And again, that's just so wrong. I mean, even though I haven't actually read the comics themselves, I do have some knowledge of the character just based on, of course, his appearance in Spider-Man, the the animated series, and I've read up on him a little bit. That move in of itself would just totally just completely just wipe out all of the Punisher's continuity there, because part of the reason the Punisher became the Punisher was after his family was murdered by the mafia. Okay, his wife and child. Okay, so to turn him into it makes absolutely no sense. It's a total disrespect to the original concept of the character. It's a total disrespect to the fans who have followed this character. So, anyways, oh, getting back to the article here. Larson expressed his opinion on Twitter following Marvel's decision to change the Punisher's logo and make him the leader of a criminal organization, The Hand. Back in December, Marvel announced a brand new Punisher series from writer Jason Aaron and artist Jesus Saiz and Paul Azaceta. According to Marvel, the series will be 13 issues and will, quote, explore the past, present, and future of Frank Castle's character and reveal where his motivations truly lie, unquote. Marvel went on to detail some of the plot points for the series, quote, after a shocking secret pushes him to become the warlord of the Hand, he now a serves the beast as a role he's been fated to fulfill, unquote. They add, quote, tragedy, war, and rage come together as he takes up his sword and his new armor, with his with the most notorious clan of assassins in the Marvel universe. So the Hand, I guess, is Marvel's answer to DC's League of Shadows, I guess. Let's see. Will it mean an end for the Punisher or a whole new bloody beginning? Unquote. Aaron provided some additional details. Quote, after writing The Punisher over the years, I've always been fascinated by the character of Frank Castle. What moments made him the Punisher, even before that fateful day in the park? And how far will he go to win the war that has consumed his life? Spoiler, as far as it damn well takes. Unquote. He added, quote, this story is the destined next step in the dark and tragic evolution of Frank Castle. From troubled kid to heroic soldier to revenge driven vigilante to the duly anointed king of killers. Um, Believe me when I say I am as excited about this story as anything I've ever written for Marvel. Unquote. So it's Jason. Well, at least Jason Aaron seems to have have somewhat of a respect for the character. Um, Responding to these changes and the ongoing debate around them, Larson wrote on Twitter, quote, instead of changing Punisher's chest emblem, they should just have Frank finally realize that he's gay. Moron. Larson, you're a freaking moron. He then added, quote, and the beauty of it is that it wouldn't alter the comics at all. Bull, bull, bull. That's total bull. He'd still be dressing in leather, ignoring the ladies, and hanging out in bars with other sweeties. You know, I get the impression Mr. Larson loves just sticking the middle finger up to fans. But you almost have to wonder where else he sticks that finger. Jeez. Jeez. In a subsequent tweet, he added, quote, and then the Punisher skull would take on a whole new meaning and it would just kill the dudes who brandish it. They're such a homophobic lot. Oh boy. All right, see if something. Then the Punisher skull would take whole new meaning, and it would just kill. Anyways, in response to a user who told him, "quote I'd read that," unquote, Larson added, "quote seriously, if you read Punisher comics, which exist, nothing changes. You can read comics that are in print, and it all works." Unquote. Quote, man, he keeps his van tidy. Weird how he hasn't hooked up with any lady in 50 years. It all fits. Unquote. He is well. The thing. Well, Bruce Wayne hasn't really. Bruce Wayne didn't really have a whole lot of romantic flings either. There, ding dong. Okay. Just because a guy doesn't sit there and constantly go after women makes him not attracted to them. Sometimes the mission, as Frank Castle and Bruce would call it, takes such an obsessive tone in your mind that you just you know Larson, you're a clown. Anyways, let's see now. Let's see. Frank Castle's tragic backstory involves the death of his wife Maria and their two children. Yeah. So again, another reason why making him gay would would just would just absolutely be such an apocryphal piece of work. It takes out the very motivation that made him become the Punisher in the first place. Unless you're gonna try to sit there and retcon it to where, oh, he was married to a gay, he was gay and he was married to another guy, which of course I know is Eric Larson's personal wet dream. So sure, we all know that. So, uh, this whole idea of pushing identity politics or trying to use established characters to push an agenda is just, it's idiotic. You know, DC's been going full bore into it, and we're seeing what happened with that. We know that the honeymoon is over with Superman Son of Kal-El. Those sales are tanking. Marvel's kind of on a slower decline. They're still putting books out there, but but again, I think they learned at least a little bit from their New Warriors experience. You know, they haven't been pushing the identity politics as much as DC has, but still, this guy Larson, I have to wonder where he's sticking that middle finger these days. Following the murder of his family, Punisher would have a number of flings with various women. So that's kind of in Garth Ennis and Louis LaRosa's Punisher Max number 23. He sleeps with former CIA agent Catherine O'Brien. So here, right here, Mr. Larson, looky here. From Punisher Max number 23. In fact, Castle even hooked up with Elektra as well in Thunderbolts number 7. Clearly, none of this matters to Larson, as he only wants the character made gay in order to get one over on those he accuses of homophobia. What do you make of Larson's suggestion? I think he's an idiot. I think he's a woke idiot. I think he's a twitiot. He's an SJW DA. He's just a clown who needs to be, well, I won't say much more because I say much more that could get me into trouble. All right, it looks like we do have some more people, and I thank you guys for the likes and shares. How is everybody tonight? Hopefully you're all doing well. Hopefully you had a good day today. Hopefully you like the story here thus far. Well, yeah, get that. So, in case there's anybody who is in the know on people in comics, Eric Larson here was suggesting that Marvel make the Punisher gay, and then go hunt people down who wear his original symbol. Yeah, a canceller who probably needs to be canceled. But anyways, so let's get ready to move on to the next story then. Have one more comic story, and then we will. Promise of a new day. And let me just reiterate something I've said before too. the reason that they want to try to use the reason that rather than creating new characters, the reason they want to do this is more to is they want to use these more well-established characters, these more noteworthy characters, to sit there and push their agenda. They figure if they can get even if it's not necessarily the character that's synonymous, like Superman, for example, even if it's not Clark Kent, it's Jonathan Kent who's come out as bi, or it's Tim Drake as Robin instead of Bruce Wayne as Batman who comes out as gay. If they can get these characters to come out as gay, and then they want to quote unquote make it more acceptable, you know, you know, they want to push the agenda in such a way that they want to make those who disagree with them the outcast instead of feeling like outcasts themselves, or you know. But anyways, let's get ready to move on to the next article here. And I thank you for the likes and shares. Hopefully we can get some more friendly people in here. And of course, if you have anything to say on the articles or anything, feel free to chime in and put in your 2 cents. I'm always, and I'll answer any questions if I can or anything like that. So let's get to this next article here. Marvel may be working on a Midnight Suns tie-in comic. Recently filed trademarks suggest that Marvel is currently working on an official tie-in comic for the upcoming Midnight Suns video game. Article by Brad Lang, published 14 hours ago. So here we go right here. Let's see what this is all says. Marvel Comics may be working on an official tie-in comic book for the highly anticipated Midnight Suns video game. According to 2 recently filed trademarks, the rebooted Midnight Suns team may feature in its own comic book series. Based on the language used in the documents, the trademark applies to both printed comics and digital comics. So I guess they lost the trademark and then are bringing it back. It's currently unknown when these books are slated to release, but given the likelihood that they will connect to Firaxis' upcoming strategy game, they may launch within the same window as the game. So yeah, I have heard something about this. How, in fact, there was a big stink because certain characters were being left out of it for some reason. If I remember correctly, if this is relating to that other story we read about, as Marvel was saying, certain characters couldn't be used for the game. So, yeah, it's also possible that the filing is simply a placeholder in the event that Marvel wants to eventually incorporate the mystical team into its current canon. Here's the Midnight Suns. Wordmark Midnight Suns. Owner applicant Marvel Kitty. So, and this was filed, I guess, on February 7th. All right. So while comic book aficionados may be more familiar with the Midnight Suns, um, a short-lived team that was briefly popular in the 90s. Firaxis Games revealed that the tweak to the name was a planned twist. Quote, the decision to call the game Marvel's Midnight Suns. In other words, going from sons as in like, the male offspring of a parent, to sons as in the star in the middle of our universe, or in the middle of our galaxy, was driven by Firaxis's love of the original Midnight Suns comic series, while the change highlights the fact that this is not a retelling of the original story and that it offers a completely new, unforgettable adventure. Quote, the fact that the title remains unique to the game may lend credence to the speculation surrounding the tie-in comic. Announced in 2021, Marvel's Midnight Suns will task players with defeating Lilith, mother of the demons, before she resurrects the sinister god Sithon, um, as an original character known as the Hunter. Gamers will unite two disparate groups, two disparate groups in the Marvel universe to push back the Army of Darkness. Mystical characters such as Doctor Strange, Blade, and Magic will need to work together with more conventional heroes like Iron Man and Captain America, resulting in a unique team dynamic. Taking the form of a card based tactical RPG, players will need to gather their team and send them out on missions to crush Lilith's demons. During the game's quieter moments, fans can hang out and bond with their favorite characters in the team's headquarters known as the Abbey. In doing so, they'll unlock new abilities that can be used to turn the tides of battle. Marvel's Midnight Suns launches for PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, Xbox Series, XS, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, and PC in 2022. All right, so there we go. That one. Excuse me. uh, all right. So, all right. So, anything you want to add to the conversation, my friend, who hanging out, or you just know you're probably just lurking? But, anyways, I got to step away from the computer for a moment, so I'll be right back. Alright, so there we go. Alright, so let's get ready to move on to the next article here. I'm back in better than ever. I'm last with all of it better. So let's get ready to move on to the anime portion of our um, coverage here. Oh, five classic animes. How is it? Rebooting anime. That was the other one. All right. So, anyways, I know this is technically from yesterday, but since it's a profile piece, um, since it is a profile piece, it'll still work to our liking. So, all right. So, anyways, how the Yu-Gi-Oh manga was drastically changed for the anime. While fans of Yu-Gi-Oh are familiar with the various anime series, the original serialized manga was quite different on a number of key levels. Article by Patrick Morris, published 1 day ago. And of course, this is a rarity for me to actually do an article that's more than a day old from CDR, considering that they do continually push out stories. But this one kind of caught my attention out of the corner of my eye. So, all right. So, Yu-Gi-Oh is one of the most successful franchises of the last 2 decades. Originally a serialized manga that ran from 1996 to 2004, the title has since spawned numerous anime series, video games, and one of the best-selling trading card games in history. What's more, the 2002 adaptation, Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters, remains one of the most popular anime series of all time. The Yu-Gi-Oh! Series was an almost immediate hit, arriving in North America hot on the heels of the international sensation of Pokemon. Although the series was hardly a clinic in storytelling and featured a now infamously poor localization, it was exactly the kind of program North American anime viewers were waiting for. Hmm. I guess due to all the editing, I know a lot of people get upset with the editing. Sometimes it's warranted, but I don't think it's depending upon what you're trying to do. If you're trying to make something more kid friendly, I can understand the editing for that. But if you're trying to push like certain agendas, that's where I think most of us should draw the line. Um, anyways, okay. In fact, this scene right here, I'm not sure if that's from the Duel Monster series or if it's from the series prior, what they called, Yu-Gi-Oh! Zero, season zero. It's true. It's true. The plots and characters were formulaic, and almost nothing significant happened outside the context of a tabletop card game. But Yu-Gi-Oh! Regularly touted the value of intellect and wit over violence, denounced bullying, and encouraged tolerance, also depicting the importance of self-confidence and friendship, which were good things. Additionally, there was a pervasive darkness in Yu-Gi-Oh's overall aesthetic that set it apart from other preceding titles. Indeed, the main character is regularly possessed by the soul of an empirically dark, baritone voiced doppelganger. While the while that hardly sounds like a like a conceit of a Y7 rated program, Yu-Gi-Oh incorporated darker themes and designs, all while keeping a thoughtful, decidedly entertaining card game at the forefront. Yeah, and we got, of course, the shadow games aspect of it as well. Hmm. However, that very same darkness plays a much larger role in the series source material, and the now world famous card game, a much smaller one. Although the Duel Monsters card game plays a centripetal role in every significant plot and character development in the anime, only two arcs of the Yu-Gi-Oh manga involve it. It isn't until chapter 60 that the plots begin to shift toward more card game heavy storylines. Up until then, most of the story centered around Muto Yugi and the spirit of the Millennium Puzzle, appropriately dubbed Dark Yugi, subjecting bullies and other villains to various psychological death games or shadow games. For example, in Chapter 10 of the manga, The Cards with Teeth, Part 2, Dark Yugi sealed franchise anti hero Kaiba, Kaiba Seto's living soul into a dual monster card. Actually, we saw that in the anime series as well, but instead of Dark Yugi doing it, it was Pegasus who did it. And it wasn't his darker half either. It was wherein he was continually attacked by monsters from the game. Although Dark Yugi says the punishment is a temporary illusion, it makes Kaiba's fate no less horrifying. Consequently, Kaiba later built the Death Tea theme park, an amusement park consisting of deadly takes on classic rides and features, and trapped Yugi and his friends inside out of revenge. Hmm. Actually, I think that looks like Alexa from Yu-Gi-Oh GX. While the Yu-Gi-Oh anime relied almost exclusively on the mechanics and nuances of the titular trading card game, the original manga more regularly incorporated the aesthetics and mechanics of a horror series. And although the anime diverted from these mechanics quite a bit, they weren't abandoned completely, which is true. I mean, granted, we saw it in, if you I know that they never did dub the season 0 of X Yu-Gi-Oh rather, but I had heard, but they did make reference to stuff from there, like in some of the first episodes of the first season of Yu-Gi-Oh that we all know of. So, anyways, rather because they appear less frequently in the anime, the darker themes and moments stood out all the more prominently, which contributed in no small part to the series' overall rise to mainstream success. What's more, despite having made serious aesthetic and narrative departures from the source material, the Yu-Gi-Oh franchise still remains at the forefront of today's anime and manga market. Yep, it's still pretty popular. That's for sure. Let's see now. So there we go with that one. Where are we at on time here? 48 minutes into this. Okay. And of course, if you happen to be watching on YouTube here, feel free to. Well, if you're watching it all, either thing, feel free to comment and ask questions if you have any. Let me know what you're thinking. The Promised Neverland: How to Get Started with the Anime and Manga. Despite a somewhat rocky anime adaptation, The Promised Neverland remains massive popularity. Here's how newcomers can dive into the franchise. Article by Narissa Rupnarine, published a day ago. There's another one that was kind of. All right, so getting into this, look at all those little kids. Following season 1 of the anime's release back in 2019, The Promised Neverland gained widespread praise for its enthralling premise, interesting characters, and refreshing take on the shonen and mystery genres. However, the acclaim quickly deteriorated with the premiere of season 2 last year. Unfortunately, it fell far below expectations for simplifying important storylines and characters, or even cutting them out of the narrative for an incredibly rushed conclusion. Thankfully, the manga continues the original storyline um, more naturally. The With a few light novels um, to to complement um, to complement it further. With over 32 million copies in circulation, a Japanese live action film, and an upcoming live action series by Amazon Studios, the Promised Neverland as a whole remains high in popularity. Here's how to get started with the anime, manga, and light novels. A plot of the Promised Neverland. Guess I'm the only one here right now. All right. Promise Neverland follows Emma, an 11-year-old living at the Grace Field House orphanage, with her two best friends, Ray and Norman. Among others, they seemingly have everything: plenty of food, a large shelter, and a family among the other orphans, who are all taken care of by their paternal figure, Isabella. No one leaves the house until they are adopted, which always happens by age 12. Why that is. One night, Emma and Norman rush to deliver the forgotten plushie of their younger sister, Connie, who has just been adopted. They venture past the gates and discover that Connie has not been adopted but is being shipped off to be fed to demons. Oh, how nice! They use the Grace Field as kind of a breeding farm for kids to send to be eaten by demons. Oh, boy. As it turns out, the orphanage is a lie and acts more like a farmhouse. The children are raised by Isabella to one day be eaten by a demonic race. Desperate to change their fate, Emma, Norman, and Ray plan to escape Gracefield House and find their own freedom. I guess that's one way of population control. Send any excess kids off to demons to be eaten. Where to read the Promise Neverland manga light novels? Written by Kaiju Shirai and illustrated by Posca Denizu, the Promise Neverland manga ran from August 2016 to June 2020 in Weekly Shonen Jump magazine and amounted to a total of 181 chapters and 20 volumes. It's available to read in English digitally via Viz Media on their website for a small fee. Physical copies are also available for purchase on Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes and Noble, Walmart, and other local retailers. Additionally, 4 light novels written by Nanao titled "A Letter from Norman," "Mom's Song of Remembrance." Now, I guess that's a different author altogether. Okay, yeah. Records of Comrades and Films of Memories were released from 2018 to 2020. These are spin-off stories that expand on certain events from the manga. Unfortunately, the light novels are much more difficult to obtain and are currently only available in Japanese as of this writing. How to watch the Promised Neverland anime. Both seasons of the Promised Neverland anime were adapted by Cloverworks, the same studio behind World Egg Priority, and currently airing My Dress Up Darling. Season 1 released with 12 episodes during the winter 2019 lineup, while Season 2's 11 episodes aired in early 2021. Seasons 1 and 2 are both available to stream on Hulu and Funimation, while Netflix, HBO Max, and Crunchyroll only carry the first. Fans looking for physical copies can find the DVD and Blu-ray versions of Season 1 on Amazon, Right Stuff International. Season 2 has yet to see a physical release in the West. Despite the manga and anime having concluded, Amazon's upcoming live-action adaptation means the fans haven't seen the last of the Promised Neverland. Yeah, that could be a good live-action movie, actually, just because of how the story goes. It's what they're probably looking for. Let's see. Let me see now. Anyways. Let me just check down here real quick. All right. So, anyways, I've got to go off camera for just a quick moment. I'll be right back. All right. So, we're going to be getting ready to. All right. So, moving on to the next article then. All right. All right. So, here we go with the next article then. Nier Automata announces TV anime series. Aniplex announces an anime adaptation of Square Enix, Platinum Games, and director Yoko Taro's hit existential action RPG. Article by Michael Lacerna, published 11 hours ago. Or at least now we're into current day. The beloved 2017 action RPG Nier Automata is being adapted into an anime series. Aniplex, an anime production company that is owned by Sony, revealed the new adaptation with a teaser trailer. It shows off new art of the game's protagonist, the android warrior 2B. Additional details about the new show, such as its cast and crew and premiere date, have yet to be announced. The trailer was revealed during a live stream that celebrated the 5th anniversary of the game's original launch. Nier Automata. All right. So, anyways, we continue on here. Nier Automata is set in the distant future where humanity has been driven from the Earth by a race of machines. Built by alien invaders, humanity's last hope comes in the form of Yorha, a brigade of android warriors who are sent down to Earth in order to kill all of the machines and reclaim the planet. The original game focused on a trio of androids the sword-wielding 2B, Hacker 9S, and the rebellious A2, whose journey to Earth and their interactions with the supposedly deadly machines forces um, forces them to question the morals of their mission, and the reason behind their very existence. Hmm. Let's see. The original um, Automata, was published by Square Enix, was developed by Platinum Games, a team of former Capcom developers who are known for their expertise in creating action games such as Bayonetta, Astral Chain, and God Hand. The game was directed by Yoko Taro, who previously helmed the Drakengard series and the original Nier, which was released for the Sony PlayStation 3 and Microsoft Xbox 360 in 2010. While the original Nier wasn't a sales success, it slowly developed a dedicated cult following the years following its release, prompting Square Enix to take a chance on a sequel in 2017. Sequel originally launched for Windows PC and PS4, but was later ported to the Xbox One. Automata um, received a much more positive critical reception than its predecessor, with reviewers praising its emotional storyline, haunting soundtrack, and more polished gameplay. The sequel also sold subsequently better as well, moving over 6 million copies as of 2021. Automata's success helped transform Nier into one of Square Enix's ongoing franchises. A remaster of the first game, now entitled Nier Replicant version 1.22474487139 was released in 2021 for the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Windows PC. The remaster was subsequently better received than the original release, and sold over 1 million copies. Nier Reincarnation, a mobile spin-off, was also released in 2021. 2B has become an extremely popular character in her own right and was featured as a guest fighter in Bandai Namco's Soul Calibur 6. The series potentially has also spawned crossovers with Final Fantasy 15, Fantasy Star Online 2, and even Fall Guys Ultimate Knockout. There we go with that one. Got one more article to go through. We are living single. I'm glad I got my girls. Glad I got my girls. Glad I got my girls. We are living single. Anyways. Alright, so moving on to the next anime here. This is our last article for the night. Oh boy. Looks like a slow night tonight, huh? Let's see. I guess I'll wait till we hit the hour 10 mark, then I'll start. Hopefully everybody's enjoying the content this far. Let's see there. Pokemon, gotta catch 'em all, gotta catch 'em all, Pokemon. Of course, for those of you who come in, feel free to comment. I will try to answer any questions if you guys have any, or if you guys have any comments you want to make on any of the articles that we're talking about here. Anyway, so let's go ahead and move on to this last article here. 5 classic anime that deserve the reboot treatment. Here are some classic anime from at least 20 years ago, which would be like 2000, 2002, basically, that would benefit from a modern reboot through the aid of changes made to the industry. Article by Mark York, published 11 hours ago. They're suggesting Trigun and Saint Seiya. Saint Seiya came out even earlier than just 2,000 years ago, I'm sorry, 20 years ago. That guy looks like from Raid Master. You got Slayers right there. You got. All right, so the landscape of anime has changed drastically over the years. Seasonal anime have become the norm. CG is used for more complexly designed characters and props. The art of storytelling has been refined, and new animation techniques have been pioneered. All these changes and more have created a much better environment for certain classic anime to really shine, which makes them prime for a reboot. Anime reboots have helped a lot of older anime become the iconic landmarks the industry they were always meant to be. Anime like Hellsing, Hunter x Hunter, Shaman King, and JoJo's Bizarre Adventure may have been decent initial runs, may have had decent initial runs, but with improvements to the animation and a more faithful retelling of the stories, these series have become truly great. Full Metal Alchemist Reboot is even seen as the best anime of all time, according to my anime list. Here are some more classic anime that would benefit from being retold as modern anime. Rave Master, 2001. You can rave about it, you can rave about it. Shine up and you show about it. And rave about it, you can rave about it. Hiro Mashima's original hit series is a fun thrill ride for any fan of his and newcomers alike. Rave Master allows Haru Glory on his quest to gather the Rave Stones and use their immense power to defeat the terrorist organization Demon Card. This series has a lot of things that make Hiro Mashima's later works, like Fairy Tail and Eden Zero, so popular. It has cool fight scenes, cute girls, and Mashima's unique brands of comedy and storytelling. Furthermore, any hardcore Mashima fans will notice that several characters from his later works are modeled after those from this series. It's just true. We've seen like Happy in a few on a few occasions. Um, if a reboot were to come out now, its popularity would undoubtedly be bolstered by Mashima fans who know of his writing, whether somebody is a fan of Fairy Tail or Eden Zero or just wants to see a fun action fantasy anime. This series reboot would satisfy them greatly. Excel Saga. This anime's absurdist humor holds up nicely. Yeah, it is pretty timeless. Excel Saga follows the evil organization um, across as they attempt to take over the city of Fukuoka and the Department of City Security's efforts to stop them. Of course, since this is a comedy series, both parties use ridiculous means to achieve their goals. Ultimately, neither side is successful. Yeah. Yeah. The thing about when you have one of the main characters who keeps basically bleeding herself like a pig. Yeah, that's Excel Saga is like the Gintama of its time. Not only does it have insane sense of humor, but there are all sorts of references, fourth fourth wall breaks, and defiances of a um, common sense. Things can get out of hand in this series that a divine being occasionally intervenes and resets everything. This series would work perfectly as a reboot. Not only does the humor work now as well as it did in its time, but there's more content from the manga to adapt. A reboot could introduce modern anime fans to Excel Saga's madness. Trigun from 1998. So Raid Master came out in 2001. Soul Saga came out in 1999, and then we now have Trigun, which came out in 1998. I guess they're going backwards in time, and of course, sending orb. I guess going back. Or descending order, depending upon how you look at it. You're talking about earlier. Okay. Trigun is a classic anime with a unique premise. It follows Vash the Stampede on his sci-fi western adventures across a desert planet. It was well choreographed action, a good sense of humor, a well balanced display of emotion. And by the way, for the dub fans of the original Trigun dub, I believe this is one of Johnny Young Bosch's first anime roles. I think this is one of Johnny JYB's first voice anime, dub voice anime roles. So, see, display of emotion and fun character. As far as westerns or anime go, It's a real hoot. It's worth noting that the original anime had a fairly satisfying ending. It tied up all of its major conflicts nicely, dealt with all of its antagonists, and explored its themes and morals extensively. However, there are still some avenues left to explore. Anime, for all its strengths, omitted a lot of manga material. The manga included character motivations, story developments, and further explorations of Vash's abilities um, that are never touched upon by the anime. If Trigun were to receive a full reboot, it would be a good chance to give anime watchers a look at the whole story. Maybe they decide to go that route. You wouldn't look in the desert for a drop to drink. Wouldn't look in the ocean for a. Anyways, oh, we got 2 viewers now. Good. Alrighty then. So let me continue on with this story. Slayers, 1995. Uh, hmm. Slayers, 1995. With the meteoric rise in popularity of fantasy and isekai anime, the reintroduction of some old school fantasy would be much appreciated. In Slayers, Lena and her friends, Gowry, Zelgadis, Amelia, Zelos, and others travel the lands on magical adventures. Now, the English dub for Slayers was done by, or at least the Slayers, the main series, was done in New York. It's done by Central, I think, Central Park Media, either Central Park Media or I think it might have been Central Park Media, in fact, that did the dub for that. Noki Films did the distribution, I believe. The English voices for these characters were Lena was voiced by Lisa Ortiz, Gowry by Eric Stewart, who was of course Kaiba in Yu-Gi-Oh. Zelgadis was voiced by Crispin Freeman, Melia by Veronica Taylor, who's best known as the voice of the first Ash in the Pokemon series. And Zelos was voiced by Michael Centurna Class. Let's see. They battle monsters, discover new forms of magic, and meet all sorts of crazy characters. The unique atmosphere of this series feels like a blend of early Pokemon, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Quest, and all sorts of nostalgic 90s anime, all while feeling completely like its own thing. Excuse me a moment. I'm going to go off camera here for a quick moment. I'll be right back. I hope you're enjoying the content thus far. Right, I'm back. Let's see. Oh, a Slayer's reboot would absolutely thrive in the modern anime market. Even with the modern anime community's refined taste for fantasy anime, Slayers sticks out for its great sense of humor, character interaction, zany antics, and surprisingly engaging overarching plot lines. Um, Also, Slayers has a connection to Angel Links, I believe, as well. They're kind of within the same universe, I believe. So, furthermore, the light novel series has been going on since 1989, so a new anime adaptation would have plenty of source material to draw from. Saint Seiya, 1986. Yeah, this one. Saint Seiya is in desperate need of a good anime adaptation. The original anime had a lot going for it: beautiful music, exciting battles, an epic story, lovable characters, and a unique atmosphere. Unfortunately, when the anime entered a long filler arc, it caused sales for the manga to plummet. So both were cut abruptly short. It's a shame because the manga had at least one more good arc before it could be considered complete. A good reboot would be the perfect way to rekindle interest in this classic of shonen anime. There have been attempts made, but they are often lambasted for being unfaithful CG monstrosities. The CG is understandable and forgivable considering how complex character designs get in Saint Seiya. However, a faithful retelling is necessary to capture the feelings and atmosphere of both source material and anime. Done right, Saint Seiya can be phenomenal. Yeah, I'm quite honestly, I'm not a big fan of reboots, only because they're you take something away when you try to reboot it or try to modernize something like that. These shows, they have their own magic and their own mystique. You know, done the way and the time that they were done in. So to sit here and try to tweak it or try to reboot it or something like that, I'm not necessarily a quote unquote a big fan of it. I can understand I can understand because I have seen some quote unquote reboots like Hunter x Hunter. Like they had that 2011 reboot that was pretty good. You got into more of the arcs, whereas the '99 version only got up to the Yorkview arc. So, and then they did like a OVA or a film for the Green Island arc. So, but overall, doing remakes not necessarily always a good thing, because again, you take something away from the original material. And I can also understand with like Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood being more. I know sometimes some of the criticisms of some of the original animes, it's not as faithful to the source material, and that's what bothers people there. So that's just my take on it. I did get another like. That's good. All right. Well, I got through all the articles here. So we're coming up on an hour and a half, so it's probably a good time. Unless anybody has anything they'd like to say or any comments I'd want to make on the material or any questions you want to ask. Um, Not, we'll probably start winding down and get ready for this day in each history. I know somebody's probably been lurking in there throughout much of the night, so I just want to give you guys a chance to chime in if you'd like. right. Well, if that is the case, guess it'd be a good time to do this day in each history. So today being Wednesday, February 23rd, 2022, let's take a look back at this day in each history. History. All right, so all right, so our first stop is going to be 60 years ago today. On this date, 60 years ago today, back in 1962, the 60th issue of Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen went on sale on this date in 1962, and three stories were published, edited by Mort Wessinger, with Kurt Swan and John Forte doing the cover credits. You know, Kurt Swan with the penciling and the inking done by John Forte. So on this date, back in 1962, 60th issue of Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen went on sale on this date in 1962. Okay, moving on to the next piece in each history. On this date, 20 years ago today, um, on this date, 20 years ago today, um, the professional wrestling organization Ring of Honor was founded by Rob Feinstein. They held their first event on this date 20 years ago today. So on this date 20 years ago today, Ring of Honor held its first event. Um, a lot of you, some of you might know, Ring of Honor, of course, is another independent, nationally independent pro wrestling promotion, and a number of current day stars, made their mark in Ring of Honor, including AJ Styles, Brian Danielson, Daniel Bryan, CM Punk, Samoa Joe. Many of those guys, had spent some time in Ring of Honor and had made a name for themselves there. Oh, and as usual, when this sometimes happens, 2002 is just so nice that we're gonna hit it twice. As soon as I can share the screen. As on this date in 2002, a number of shows debuted on Adult Swim. So, Mobile Suit Gundam 0083 Stardust Memory, Pilot Candidate, and Yu Yu Hakusho all made their debut on Adult Swim on this date 20 years ago today. So on this date 20 years ago today, Mobile Suit Gundam 0083 Stardust Memory, Pilot Candidate, and Yu Yu Hakusho all made their debut on Adult Swim on this date 20 years ago today. So there you go, everybody. Well, I know we had kind of a low turnout tonight. When Hump Day usually is kind of the middle of the week, so but I'm glad for those who did pop in and drop at least a like and a share. Don't forget Friday, of course, we're doing the historical comic retrospect where we're going to, of course, where we will where we will where we will be we'll be doing our historical comic retrospect. This Friday, of course, Batco will be joining me, and we'll be looking at comics that went on sale in October of 1938. We'll be continuing our coverage there, focusing in this week on David McKay publications and Fiction House. So we're looking over real quickly, some material in regards to Ace Comics Volume 1, number 20, looking at that, some of the summary work and seeing what all happened, maybe doing a line or two from the thing, depending upon what you see. And then of course, going over to Fiction House, where we will, of course, be reading Jumbo Comics issue number 3, reading up on our favorite Queen of the Jungle, Sheena, as well as our modern girl of 1938, Gilda Gay, and looking at the diary of Dr. Hayward in Weird Stories of the Supernatural. So with all that, guys, I thank you for being here. I hope to see everybody back tomorrow night for more niche news and coverage. Until then, bye!